So you may have noticed I did not post a video yesterday. Ugh. I really gotta clear out some of these lower branches. Welcome to the Collapse Experiment. If you enjoy this video, please remember to like and subscribe. So yesterday was for me, it was the end of an era. It was possibly the last time I will be in Kalamazoo, my old hometown, where I was born, where I was raised, where I lived the majority of my life, aside from a short stint in Paw Paw and a year or two in Portage, which doesn't really count. I don't know why those are two separate cities other than some writing on paper with government officials. Doesn't make a whole hell of a lot of sense to me. You think of Kalamazoo, you think of not downtown. Because the majority of commerce, the majority of trade, where common folk spend most of their money and most of their time, is Westnedge. And a good chunk of that is in Portage. No dividing line. You're not crossing a border. But anyways, we had to go back, get the rest of our stuff that was at our old house before it sells. The amount of stuff that we still had there. The amount of shit that people accumulate. I could actually tie this into the whole Chinese tariff thing and talk about how Americans just don't need more shit. And we're for the better if we just stop importing from China. Think about it. We are for the better. If we don't have garbage to buy, we save money. Possibly get our dumbasses out of debt. But no, we are addicted to cheap shit. However, most of the stuff that I had still at the house was typewriters. Yes. You mean the obsolete form of technology that nobody uses anymore? Funny thing is, I can tell you without a doubt, the average span of a typewriter is a hell of a lot longer than what cell phone you're holding in your hand, whatever your latest computer is. It's funny how one mechanical device, I have one that's in the back of my truck right now, waiting to be taken to the cabin, that is from 1893, well over 100 years old. Doesn't work anymore. However, I can get it to work again. I have not had the opportunity to get it fully functional again. Smith Premier number 2, also known as a blind writer. Because before, Underwood figured out how to move the platen, move the type heads to the point where you can visibly see what is being typed as opposed to everything coming up from the bottom. And you have to wait 2 or 3 lines in order to see, what did I type like a minute ago? No, that's the weird thing about these machines. Even when they sit for long periods of time, even when they rust, even when they have some corrosion, a little bit of cleaning, a little bit of oil, and all of a sudden they work just like they did when they rolled out of the factory. You ever see a cell phone do that? You ever get a dot matrix printer out of the closet and it starts right up and you're able to start using it again? You ever get your old iPhone out? You know, the one that had that update that just completely destroyed everything that was on it, forcing you to go out and buy a new one. And all Apple had to say was, oops. I mean, we were just told to send it out to everyone. We didn't know it was going to screw up everything on these phones. It could have lasted forever, but that meant nobody would buy the new one. We didn't do that on purpose or anything. Now, there's several things I love about these machines, and the fact that they don't really, in my opinion, become obsolete. What's becoming obsolete is people's ability to think for themselves, to learn, to comprehend things, to put things on paper once, and then maybe, perhaps, figure out where they screwed up and what it is they were trying to say, and go and rewrite it all again. To not be able to lose everything that you wrote because a system update, a hard drive malfunction, a virus on your computer, that 120,000 word document, my novel, everything is gone. And people will make the argument, well, if you type it out and you have the printed pages, I mean, if there's a fire, you lose everything. Statistically, what is more likely to happen? Microsoft fucks up your computer and you lose everything? Happened to me. Or you type everything out and you actually have the paper documents in your possession, in your hands, that you had typed up, stored away in a filing cabinet. And yes, you can get fireproof filing cabinets. And if you are a writer, and if you think you're a good writer and that people actually give a shit about what you wrote years after you are gone, there's the interesting fact that a lot of writers, for example, Philip Roth, when he died, he had already made an agreement with the local library that part of his fortune would go to them, and they would create a room named after him in his honor that would house his entire library that he had at home, all of his books, so people can go and see like what books go into the mind of somebody like Philip Roth to produce the books that he ended up writing during his life. What influenced him? Where did he get his ideas? Did anything change his style of writing? It also housed all of his papers, everything that he had written. People will actually spend good amounts of money, tens of thousands of dollars, for a single letter that Hunter S. Thompson might have written to somebody. And in some cases, it could just be a letter that he wrote to, like, remember those companies where you send them like 99 cents and you can pick 10 CDs, 10 books, and they'd mail them to you, but then you were a subscriber. Well, Hunter Thompson knew that he didn't have any money, but he wanted those 10 bucks. So he'd send them his dollar, and then next month they would try to charge him, and he wouldn't pay. And then they'd send him another book and try to charge him for that, and he wouldn't pay. To the point where they would say like, hey, you owe us X amount of dollars. And then he'd write them back saying like, I don't have this money, and you guys are the ones that made the mistake of allowing someone like me, a degenerate, to join your club. You are never getting a red cent from me. Some of these stories are what we're missing from our society. Those links to the personalities of writers of the past. Is anybody going to buy an email from anyone? Hey, I just bought this email from George R.R. Martin to these people about how You know, his diabetes is preventing him from writing his last book. How do you buy an email? No, letters. Letters is another form of expression that is completely lost upon our society these days. When I moved from Kalamazoo, I tried to become pen pals with a lot of friends for years that I wanted to keep in contact with. It lasted, in one case, about 6 months. And then everything just stopped. I kept sending letters saying like, hey, this is what's going on. This is my job these days. This is what I'm doing. This is what it's like up here. No response. And of course, this is somebody who doesn't like to talk on the phone. Weird. That's a phobia that a lot of people have for some reason. The phone will ring and they'll look at it and they'll even see like who's on the phone, and it's like, I don't want to talk to them. Why do they want to talk to me? They just let it go to voicemail. And then what happens, because I dealt with this with people in the past, especially during dating. This was always, ladies, this was always a turnoff. If your guy calls you and you don't answer, number one, red flag. Number two, when you immediately text back asking, what do you want? I want to know who the fuck you're with that you can't talk to me on your fucking phone that you obviously have sitting in your hands. Because it tells me you don't want somebody close to you that is around you to hear what we might have to talk about. Red flag. So yeah, we're driving to Kalamazoo, and my wife says, if we get there early, is there any place that you want to go to? Nope. Can't think of a damn thing. There are two places which I was not in the position of going to and enjoying because of all the freaking bills I have going on right now. The record store, because they have a really decent, awesome record store, Satellite Records. Couldn't express highly enough like how good of a record store that is, because they cover everything, right? Like we have one in Cadillac, but the Cadillac market, well, you're gonna find Metallica, Megadeth, Def Leppard, anything that involved like putting a hole in the ozone layer because their fans are using too much hairspray. Those bands. Occasionally they might have a good jazz record that comes in. And I think that's only because the owner of the shop actually enjoys jazz, but he knows that the majority of his customers are coming in because they're looking for a first issue print of the Black Album by Metallica. Now the other one is Pacific Rim, which is the Asian food market. Best Asian food market I've ever been to. And I've been to quite a few. I've been to some in Chicago. I've been to some in Grand Rapids. And quite frankly, the one that's in Kalamazoo outshines all of them. The selection of food is amazing. They're catering to both the locals who immigrated, and they're also catering to the white people who have a fetish. But you're not going to see the pig's head sitting in the cooler like you would in Chicago. And you're not going to have people who only speak Chinese trying to serve you dumplings and then refusing to give you a dumpling for whatever reason, like you do in Grand Rapids. Now this one, They've got cooking classes. They have their own ramen shop in the store where you can get a nice, fresh one of four. I don't know if they've expanded their menu, but at the time you could get 4 different types of ramen. Their huge selection of actual like instant ramen, an entire aisle of the store dedicated to instant ramen. The frozen food section, the fact that they get blue crabs in once a week for you to buy by the pound so you can cook some meal at home. Fresh, trying to crawl out of the bucket. No, that was an awesome place. It still is an awesome place. It's one of the few places that survived COVID, because everywhere else that I would have a desire to go to, and I'm going to throw a Nonla Burger there too. Although from what I was told yesterday, because my wife took the kids to Nonla Burger, if you're going to be in Kalamazoo, you might as well get a Nonla Burger. Good God, did that shit get expensive. Chicken sandwich. The Nonla chicken sandwich, which is a breaded piece of chicken breast thrown on a bun with shredded carrots and other toppings, Nonla sauce, maybe some carrots. If you get that, it used to be, I believe, $5 or $6. And if you got it the Nonla way, which is extra toppings, it was like an extra 75 cents or something. And I don't know what the hell happened in Kalamazoo or what's going on with the market over there, but for some reason, a chicken sandwich made the Nonla way is now $9. Is it still one of the best chicken sandwiches you're ever gonna have? Yup. $9. Keep in mind, it's slightly bigger than maybe a Big Mac. Yes, I know Big Macs are not cheap these days either, and they never were cheap. Those were always overpriced. Seriously, a slice of tomato and it goes up like $3? Fuck off. Ray Kroc. Crock of shit. So, Kalamazoo. From what I saw, downtown was torn up. They're putting in their stupid ass arena. They already have Wing Stadium with its own parking lot, which they never use for public events anymore. My guess, piss poor management with piss poor ideas. You know, we used to have Marilyn Manson had concerts there. Tool had concerts there. I saw Matchbox 20 there. What? Gay? Yeah, I know. Girlfriend wanted to go. Saw Godsmack there. Did I make up for that last one? No, they had big names coming in there. That was the place to go. And then for whatever reason, they stopped doing concerts there. Can't remember the last time they actually had a show going on at Wing Stadium. And here's the thing, the new arena, this community center that they're building right in the middle of downtown where no parking is fucking available, ever. And parking is so atrocious. They've got parking meters everywhere. They're going to try to make it to where you had to pay for parking on Saturdays, which is the only day you ever wanted to be downtown anyways. Because it's the only time that parking was free and not a pain in the ass. Then if you try to go to any events downtown, good luck finding parking. KIA Art Fair, you're not parking by the park. That's not happening. You're going to be like 3-4 blocks away, maybe further. And then if you're in the wrong spot, oh my God, is somebody there to put a ticket on your car? And it's not a city official. No, it's an outsourced company who is paid by the city to go around to be meter maids, to hand out tickets. They're not an official capacity. They don't have an actual authority from the city. These are not city officials, but they are paid. Do you want Blackwater going around policing your neighborhood? That is exactly what that is. Private contractors going around enforcing city ordinances because the city is too fucking lazy to do it themselves. If we hire these meter maids, we're gonna have to provide like healthcare and benefits and shit. We're too busy embezzling our own money. If you can't enforce it, if you can't afford it, perhaps you shouldn't be fucking doing it. That's my biggest complaint about Kalamazoo. They want to do everything while they have no money to do it. And when they can't find the money, they will extort it any way possible. And they are fucking aggressive about it. Yeah, we had our guy out there with the tape measure and your grass was about a ½ inch too tall. You ever consider I work at the hospital and I put in 60 hours this week? You know, providing health care for all of your citizens that pay taxes, making sure they don't die so they can keep paying you taxes. But hey, if you want to give me a big fuck you, I understand. Get out of the cities. They do not give a shit about you. You are a revenue source for them. They don't give a crap about what you provide, what you do for them. We really need an Atlas Shrugged situation, but it's not the rich and the billionaires that need to disappear. It's all the people who actually provide services for these cities, while the cities refuse to acknowledge what these people do for them. If all of those people packed up and left, and the only people that were left are the ones that for some ungodly reason they cater to 24/7, we have to provide for the homeless. We can't prosecute this kid for setting a fire in a building and killing 3 people because it's just unfair because of the color of his skin. It was justifiable homicide, self-defense, that this kid stabbed the other kid at the high school because, you know, situations and stuff. No, we're not going to find who broke into your house and stole all of your shit. Because we don't have the manpower and the police force. What? They're selling drugs in your neighborhood? We'll drive by. This is what they're doing. And then all the people who actually provide a service, who actually makes the city what it is, if they're all gone and the city is still trying to provide and cater for the people who do absolutely fucking nothing except for ruin everything that makes a city what it should be, perhaps then maybe they'll pull their head out of their ass. But then you had places like California. If you move out of California, we're still going to tax you for 10 years. We all know you know how to suck a dick, and you should probably just go do that. I don't live there and you're going to tax me? Nice try. In the world of dumb ideas, California, man, do they set the standard. So anyways, yesterday was the end of an era for me. I have zero interest in ever going back to Kalamazoo again. Perhaps if I'm going somewhere else and I'm traveling on US 131, because I have really no interest or reason to be on I-94, I might stroll in and stop at some place like Pacific Rim and do some shopping, or maybe go to the record store and find some things that I would not be able to find here. But other than that, I have absolutely no fucking use for Kalamazoo. The city sucks. The people that run it suck. The people who live there generally suck. When you can have the crackheads in Hayes Park scare off the gangbangers from Chicago, you know shit is fucked up. And I saw that time and time again. I'm from Chicago. And then the crackheads roll by. I'm moving back to Chicago. This is fucked up. Y'all are fucked up here. Like, dude, we don't even do this shit in Chicago. Man, you guys are out of your mind. Welcome to Kalamazoo.